Cool. It's been another week and a bit, so let's do the thing. I've been hearing the word millennial spouted quite a lot recently. Apparently, this is the generation that means the most to people, be it their disposable income, their youth, their disposable income, or their open-mindedness to new and interesting things they can buy. The latest thing was a cinema chain in America, who shall remain nameless, put out a statement earlier in the week saying they're going to have screenings that are going to be allowing the use of mobile phones, texting and Skyping and Snapchatting and whatever the millennials are up to. Obviously, the sane people in the world on Twitter, which might be a bit of a misnomer, jumped on this and said how stupid could you possibly be to have that as an idea, and the cinema chain then turned around and said, "Oh yeah, yeah, we're going to listen to you. Let's stick to how it is at the minute." And then everyone's going, "Well done, you." Now there's a conspiracy theory that they just wanted that advertising just to promote themselves as being a cinema that's doing what a cinema should be doing, as in showing films for people, not showing films while kids are sat there playing Angry Birds. I don't know if people play Angry Birds anymore. Again, because I'm old. It's just, I don't understand it. It. Of all the things that are going wrong with the world, it's a minor blip in society's de-evolution. But it's one of these elements that kind of is a bit of a bugbear, because the whole idea of a cinema or a theatre is to get sucked into the atmosphere and to be engrossed with what's on screen. But I've been to theatre showings where people treat it like a cinema, in that they're having the most obnoxious snacks. Now, it's one thing to do that in the cinema, but in the theatre, people can hear you. The people doing the talking, doing the acting, doing the thing, can actually see and hear you, and it's just a height of rudeness, and that's where I think my real issues come up, because it is rude, and yeah, we can all be rude occasionally, but if we're rude in the cinema or rude in the theatre, then what's to stop us being rude to other people in real life, and pushing old people across the road just because we want to get there first, and then we're just going to lead to cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. Who are you going to call, as it were? But I guess the point is, I'm definitely feeling my age now, when I'm no longer anywhere close to the key demographic for a lot of things. My opinion really just is starting to no longer matter. And it's fine, because I don't think my opinion ever really truly did matter. But now 21-year-olds seem to be where everyone's trying to please, and and I remember my 21 when I was 21, way back when, and no one gave a monkey's what I thought then. I was too busy drinking WKD Iron Brew, and tequila vodka Red Bulls, which might explain a few things. Anyway, a bit of a ramble for a change. Moving on. Okay, it's been a week and a bit since I've done any reviewing, so I just do a bit quick catch up on a few films that are currently out that you might want to watch and you might want to miss. Hardcore Henry is out on general release at the moment. It's a film taken from a first person perspective, and it follows the titular Henry as he's introduced to a world where everyone is out to kill him, and with only a couple of allies who all look fairly similar. if you're like me, there's the 15-year-old part of your brain that's still alive and kicking. You know, the one that adores superhero movies and Star Wars and realizes how bad Michael Bay has fudged up Transformers. And if he were reviewing Hardcore Henry, I'm sure we have a different point of view.
Hello. There's a Well Wicked movie that's just come out. It's Hardcore Henry. It's all this action stuff. It's better than like Point Break or anything. A guy gets like stuck in the face with knives, and all these ninjas come out, and the heads blow up, and there's a strip joint, and there's drugs, and the guy gets set on fire. It's amazing.
But that 15-year-old isn't here. Instead, you've got me, a 30-year-old, who's seen quite a few action movies in his time. And when they're done well, they're a brilliant roller coaster ride. When they're done badly, they're just boring. And while this is never boring, it is like getting hit over the head with a sledgehammer. It starts to grate after a little while. It's a 10-minute short that's extended way beyond it's one joke, one concept. It is like watching a someone playing a bloody bloodthirsty first person shooter. You know, you're completely you at the control someone else. And it is as stupid as some of the lesser first person shooters. It's not Call of Duty. It's more like your Duke Nukem's. It's hard to recommend it to anyone because there are better action movies out there, better movies out there. But yeah, so don't waste your time and effort with it. It's a 1-star movie, 2 if you're a little bit drunk. One that you really have to catch, because it's probably not going to be out for very much longer, is Midnight Special. It's a wonderful little film about a father who takes his son across country with his mother, all while being chased by the authorities. It's Michael Shannon, and stars in it, and it's a very unusual. I don't want to give too much away because the beauty of it is the subtlety, the nuances. The story unfolds in a kind of a very sort of sedate manner, but then it punctuates it with moments, with wonderful moments. It reminded me of what's like Monsters, where it's a low budget but nicely put together film with great performances. The young kid is remarkable, and while it goes towards an ending that you can see coming from quite a mile off, it's probably it's up there with one of the best films I've seen this year. I haven't actually seen the director's previous work, Mud or Take Shelter, but I'm definitely going to be giving them a look because I think he's a pretty damn good director. Disney are kind of doing my head in at the minute, as well as owning pretty much everything that they can get their hands on, be it Marvel or Star Wars, and anything Lucasfilm related. They're now going back to their own back catalogue and churning out live action remakes or tweaked versions of their classic animated movies. Instead of Sleeping Beauty, you had Maleficent. It's Cinderella. I think Peter Pan, Pete's Dragon, and Beauty and the Beast are already in the works. But the latest is hitting the cinemas is The Jungle Book, and it's a very weird movie to try to call live action when it's predominantly CGI. There's only the Mowgli is the only human character. Everything else is computer generated, including all the surroundings. It's probably closer to something like Avatar. Jon Favreau is a a solid director. I think he's proved himself with the likes of Iron Man, not so much Iron Man 2, that he's a craftsman. He likes to make the world. He's kind of like a kind of a slightly less artistic Ridley Scott. You know, he likes his tools, but he doesn't like CGI, which is so it's strange for him to make a CGI-led movie. Be that as it may, the film itself is a half pastiche of the original animated movie, with more leanings towards the original Rudyard Kipling material. And what you have is a weird version where you still got the songs, but they're not the same. The tone's darker, because obviously all films these days have to be dark, even kids' films. The voice acting is great. Bill Murray, Ben Kingsley, Christopher Walken. The young kid is great. It's very reminiscent of something like Life of Pi, in how an actor is able to perform in front of nothing, but it still be very powerful. The visuals are great. You very the moments where you think you're watching a nature documentary. David Attenborough should be narrating some of it, but all that being said, I don't see the point. It's almost like they want to show off all these new whiz bang effects, but they haven't got the confidence to make a new movie, to make a new story using them. So they have to go with something familiar, say Jungle Book or what have you. And it's a bit gutting, because there are only so many tentpole movies you can have in a year that are supporting the rest of the movie making. You have to have differences. You have to have new stories. It's not everything should be superheroes. Not everything should be Star Wars. Although if Disney had their way, it probably would be, with a few Frozen sequels thrown in for the mix. I'm rambling now, but I think I'm in a minority on Jungle Book. I think people have embraced it a lot more than I have. I struggled with it. By the end, it becomes so dark, literally, not tonally. It's hard to tell what's going on. And I was seeing it in 2D. If you're wearing 3D, you probably just get pointy blurriness. So yeah, it's fine, but I think kids these days deserve more than just fine. I think kids and parents, when they're spending 40-50 quid just to go to the cinema, want to be taken for a ride, not be taken for a ride, as it were. Out on DVD and Blu-ray next week is the classic or cult classic movie, The Ninth Configuration. It's written and directed by William Peter Blatty, who created The Exorcist. It's a very strange film that kind of defies sort of pigeonholing. It takes place in a castle in a remote part of America that's now been turned into an asylum for soldiers who are claiming sort of stress and mental illness due to what's happened to them on the battlefield, including Scott Wilson, he of the Walking Dead fame. Then a new leader comes along, who's also a psychiatrist, Stacey Keach, who decides to play them at their own game, and to figure out if they are faking or whether they are actually suffering from post-traumatic stress. The reason I like to say it defies definition, because it's practically a satire, like a black comedy. The first half or thereabouts, you get to know the characters, the misfits of the asylum, and you've got one character who's making Shakespeare but using dogs as actors. You've got a guy who thinks he's Superman. Um, all the while, you see some of the characters butting heads with Stacey Keach, who seems to be a very stoic character, but he's clearly got something going on there. And because this is from William Peter Blatty, there's very clear religious elements to it. So then you have discussions between the characters about religious faith and good versus evil, and where men lay in that kind of battle. Then there's elements of gothic horror. There's its core, it's probably more of a drama, but a very light-hearted drama. I mean, Blatty co-wrote A Shot in the Dark, so he knows comedy, he knows funny, and there are some hilarious moments. But then it suddenly turns a corner to more kind of horrific moments. I love this film. It's a true classic gem, and the best thing about this sort of film is on Blu-ray it's given a new lease of life. There are interviews with many of the cast and crew. There's a commentary track between the writer-director and Mark Kermode. It's the story of how it got made is almost more interesting than the film itself. It was financed by PepsiCo. The acting, the actors, the casting changed at the last minute. Stacey Keach was a very last minute addition, and you would never know that from seeing the finished product, because it's remarkable. There's only good things about this film. There are images that are going to stay with you for a good long while. The score is subtle. Yeah, and if you're a fan of film from the 70s, 80s and 90s, you will see so many familiar faces. You can almost play a kind of who's who, and just looking at IMDb going, oh, I recognise him from such and such. But yes, The Ninth Configuration, out on Blu-ray and DVD next week. If you like your satirical horror thriller dramas, then give it a shot. Okay, that's it for this week. Thank you for watching. Please like and share and tell your friends, neighbours, postmen, delivery men, bin women, about this series of random ramblings. You can follow me on Twitter at My So-Called Brain. I've got a Facebook page. There'll be a link to my blog hopefully below. So yeah, thank you again for watching, and until next time, laters.